The great thing is, the smaller you are, it's like a boat, right? The more easily you can turn left and right. If you're a big ship, it's going to take you a lot longer to just make that turn. And that's absolutely true. I mean, even with these larger firms that can acquire maybe a lot of businesses, they can't necessarily implement the processes and operations, those unique factors. So, yes, if you're small to mid-size, you are the best ones to implement this because you can start to integrate it more into your company and raise the value of your company, saying, hey, this is the unique identifier that we have that sets us apart from maybe other organizations. There's a lot of people trying to implement it and they implement it very poorly, and they get no additional value. Versus if you have something that you can lean on, can register on, put in best practices, you can get those differentiators that will, one, raise the overall value of your company. But when you do eventually go to investors or anything else to potentially sell, they're going to take a look at that and say, oh my gosh, and they have this, which I would love to implement in other companies. And then they see the
Hmm.
processes, what's in place, and could potentially implement that at a larger scale as well. So you're right. Mid-size, the small size are fantastic for this. If you are a larger organization, you got to look more divisionally. You do look at, hey, maybe we do just start with the sales team, and that can be implemented effectively. And then you can look at where to expand it beyond that. Because you're right, especially once you get to enterprise level. I mean, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people and training. That's a lot of tools. That's a lot of costs, and you got to figure out what will actually make the most impact for your business.
Sure, sure. So let's say I'm a mid-sized organization and, I've got a sales team of, 75, and with the understanding that this is an evergreen thing, that we're always improving, right? To get the value that is there, I want to have an AI strategy to capture what value I can today. How long will it take and how much will it cost? Just bigger than a bread box.
As with anything, there's so many variables involved with it. I will tell you this from experience is that depending on scale, if you're looking for massive change, there are agencies out there that will cost millions, $500,000 for implementation, which is crazy for most mid-market firms. They're not going to be able to afford that.
Mm.
But it can be as cheap as, $10 per seat, depending on what you're trying to implement, which is a lot more scalable and a lot more effective if you're using the right tools and the right implementation. And it might even be cheaper than that if it's like, hey, we only really need one seat to set up this automation to feed the information to the 50 to 75 member team, which is a lot of times where I do see the initial implementation is like, hey, if we can just get, those leads that we were talking about, right? If I can just get those fed into our CRM and then get it assigned to the sales team members to start working, that's an effective implementation where it's almost background to the employees themselves. They're just happy that things are just starting to get fed to them in their funnel rather
Mm.
than just the typical, research that might be necessary for it. Not only that, those things that are happening in the background that are enhancing their overall employees, it doesn't necessarily take the full training cycle that you might need or anything else for implementation.